It is an absolutely beautiful fall day here in Delphi, Indiana. I'm going to be walking the trails to the Monon High Bridge. We'll be on the north side. This is the direction Libby and Abby would have walked on February 13th, 2017, the day they were abducted. The next day, their bodies were found not far from here. I'm going to be pointing that out to you when we get to that part of the bridge. So you'll be able to see the trails, the Monon High Bridge, and then I'll point in the direction of where the bodies were found so you can kind of understand the layout. This is my first time being here, too.
I'll try to hold this up enough. You can see there's a field right there, some outbuildings, a farm, a silo, a barn over that way. And law enforcement didn't look around those buildings. They didn't look to see whether maybe bridge guy was hiding, maybe he was out there. So they never really made an effort to do that. And the defense says, well, that's something that proves you weren't really doing an adequate investigation. And without doing an adequate investigation, you can't convict me because you didn't look hard enough to find the real people. You didn't follow leads you should have been able to follow that might have actually netted you the real killer instead of me. So that's the argument he's making. You can see here, we got the trail up ahead. So it is just amazingly beautiful day. Run into so many people on here. A lot of people out on the trails today. And I can't blame them because it's really pretty. There's the field over there. One of the fields around here. A lot of agriculture, it looks like. This place is just stunning. Just really, really pretty. I'm enjoying being outdoors, even if there's a kind of sad purpose to it. I really did want y'all to be able to see and feel like you were part, could understand what is around here and where things are and how they fit together. We're continuing our walk. It is very nice. I have no idea how far ahead the Monon High Bridge is. I wondered. I've heard people say it took about, well, there were different estimates, somewhere between 9, depending on who you asked, and 20 minutes to reach the bridge. But I've stopped and talked to so many people, I don't really know how long they've been walking, so I don't have a good sense of that. I don't think it's been that long if I had walked straight instead of talking to people along the way. A lot of people here watching the show, and they recognize, oh, you have that YouTube channel. Yes, I do. And they're, of course, extremely interested in finding out more about it because this is their place. And these were 2 local girls who were killed. So these aren't just people from Delphi, but from the area around. Pretty. It's quiet out now. You can hear the highway in the distance, though. One of the questions has been about why the girls didn't cry out. Why didn't they yell for help? There's even a suggestion that the girls were maybe killed after the family was already in the park looking for them on the trails. And so why? Why didn't they yell? Why didn't they call out for help or ask somebody to come so that they could scream help if they're being murdered, or if one is not being while the other is? Why didn't they scream for help? But at that point, the defense says sound would have carried quite clearly. So it doesn't make sense, the defense argues, that they were even here. There's no possibility they were here. The defense believes they were probably taken on that road directly below the Monon High Bridge somewhere else. And the fact that they weren't here accounts for why they weren't yelling out or asking for help. They also think that accounts for why Libby's phone starts back up at 4:33. They think it was brought back in, manipulated by hand by somebody. Oh, here we are. We're at the bridge. Okay, so I'll be able to show you more right here. So why they didn't yell out, that is really a mystery. It does seem like if they could have been heard and weren't that far away, that seems like something they would do. I know sometimes people get scared, they get frozen, and they don't actually scream. They think that they would, but then they don't. So it's possible. I just don't picture that being the case for at least Libby, for what we know about her. mean, somebody brave enough to start filming when you're a little nervous, but you don't know exactly what's happening. That's pretty brave. That was pretty impressive. So I'm coming up to the bridge. Oh, good. We're not far from, I'm going to be able to show you the new part and the old part. We are 100% not going over to the old part. So I will show it to you, but that is well beyond my capabilities. So what you're seeing right here is new and improved, not what Libby and Abby would have seen at the time that they came. But we'll at least get an idea for what the new part looks like, and we'll be able to see the old part. I'm going to walk up to that end of the new bridge area right there. We will get a sense. It's supposed to be very high, 60 feet. So that's pretty big span that it has to accomplish. And it goes way back into the trees on the far side because it's spanning 60 feet, but the ground doesn't just immediately jut up out of the earth. It's not a cliff on the other side. So to span that area flat for a train, they have to do it this way. So we are almost here. Beautiful, beautiful day. I've got a sign over here, private property, no trespassing. All right, so here we go. We are on the bridge right now, or right at it. So, wow, take a look at this. Look, first of all, at how steep that is. Can you even tell? That is crazy steep. Now, this is not where they were abducted. They were abducted on the other side. But you can maybe guess that that's about what it would have looked like. And there's the creek. Beautiful, beautiful. And you can see we're way above it. Now, this is the newly built bridge. I heard there was controversy over this, which does seem to be really rusted, and that the mayor didn't want to have it painted or something. There was, I guess, argument over that. But you can see that this is some kind of tracks or board that's not going to rot, hopefully, and it's got rails. And it's pretty wide, really wide. So I feel safe walking here. Take a look. Can you see how deep that is? I don't know if you can tell, but wow. Wow, that is so steep. That is a big surprise to me. The creek is really pretty, very clear. You can see down into it. And that actually is of interest too. Oh my gosh, this is pretty. So what you can see if you look back is you've got the bridge starting there, right there. And you can see it's still over land. It's over a good bit of land right here before you get down to the creek, because they want it to be going in a straight, flat line, 0 degrees or very, very small incline, because it's a train going over it. So what we are seeing then is how what they have to do to make it flat, to make it go straight. Right across, it goes further into the woods. We'll go to the end there and take a look. I'll let you just look around. Wow. It is so pretty. So beautiful. There's a trail over there as well. That's not the direction the girls are. I'm wondering if that's the road there. I can't really tell. Maybe when we get further over. And one of the things the prosecution, I guess, oh my gosh, that is straight up and down. I think you literally couldn't go down right there. I don't see how you could. So off there in the distance, I've been told to go to the end, and then about 10 o'clock is where is the direction in which the girls' bodies were found. absolutely, unbelievably beautiful. And it's just so sad to think that in a place like this, 2 little girls were murdered. One of the things Richard Allen says he was doing, and I'm gonna. Oh, good. This is something good to see. Do you see this right here? This is the jut out that where Richard Allen says he went to the first one. So this is the first one, and periodically you'll see they have those sticking out of the older version of the bridge as well. So Richard Allen says he walked out here and he was looking down at fish. And the prosecution has sort of suggested in the past, looking down at fish, how are you going to see fish from a bridge? But wow, this water is really clear. You could definitely see fish. If there were any, I'm not seeing any. Oh, wait. I see a fish. I see a fish. I don't know if I can possibly. I don't think I can. Yeah, it's too bright. I'm not able to see. But you can see that the water is very clear down there. So I don't think that that was necessarily a crazy thought. I think it's possible he could have seen the fish. I think it's got to be a path. That can't be the road because it doesn't continue. And plus, I'm expecting the road to be a lot further back into the woods. So we'll go ahead and let me pick up my notebook here. And we will walk on to the end of the bridge here. I'm pointing in this direction because this is the direction the girls were taking. And that's ultimately down that way. I'll kind of point and gesture where I think it was when we on the end. Here we are walking along the creek. This creek is Deer Creek. It's really curvy. Twists and turns all through here. So that's why directions are sometimes a little hard to tell, a little hard to understand. But it is a stunning place. Beautiful day. Oh, look at this. Some flowers here. Somebody thinking about Libby and Abby and just grieving what has happened. So, all right, we are at the end. You can now see the trestle where the girls were walking across. You see how crazy that looks? Let me pull it out. You can see there's a span. So in order to get over there, you would have to be a lot sprier than I am and a lot less clumsy than I am to crawl over to the other side. This new part, though, wasn't here. At the time Libby and Abby were on the bridge, it was all like this. What you see right here, the wood, this is what it all looked like all the way across. And look how far back it goes in there. And you can see it's really overgrown. Let's go ahead and. This would have been much more like what probably the whole back then. So it's really overgrown. Not many people are walking there because to get there. And check out that jet, the side area. It was on one of those that bridge guy may have been standing. You can see it sticks out to the side. I'm assuming so that if the train went by, people would have a place to come to it to the side. Big, I thought. I was expecting it to be pretty small from the pictures I'd seen. There, up there. And then you can see on the other side how far above the ground this is. Look how far above the ground that edge is. I mean, we are nowhere near the ground there. So Libby and Abby would have walked all the way across the bridge. It was at the far end of the bridge that they encountered a bridge guy, and if there was anybody else, that's where they encountered them as well. And they were ordered down the hill. It was a steep hill, so steep that Libby said, there's not a path for me to go to. So she was obviously being asked to go down the hill, and she didn't really even see how it's possible because it was pretty steep. There wasn't a path. So she was asking, I don't get it. So I've been told, now the girls were forced down the hill on this side of the bridge over here, I believe. And then what happened for sure, nobody knows. That's exactly what the case is about. There's a road that goes under there. I tried to get to that earlier, and I wasn't able to get to it because it's marked as no entry and so forth. But the road runs underneath the bridge here. And so the defense says, well, maybe they were ordered into a car that was waiting down on that road down below. It's not a paved road there, I don't think. I think it's a dirt road, but it's still a road. It's a county road that's become, unpaved as it goes and winds back toward a very small handful of houses. The place where they were forced down was actually on Brad Weber's property that was right there at the end of the bridge. So whether they were taken or not, the prosecution believes, and I don't think the defense necessarily disagrees, but they just have some other theories, but that they were forced into the creek and across the creek. Now, some of the things that make people believe that are the fact that Libby Libby wasn't dressed and some of her clothes were down in the creek. Abby was dressed. She was wearing some of Libby's clothes, some of her own, and they were wet. Her shirt, her jeans, and her sweatshirt over her shirt were both wet up to a certain line, and then the jeans were wet. So they believe they went across the creek, were forced across the creek. And then I've been told that at about 10 o'clock, so roughly there, on the far side of the creek is where the bodies were found of Abby and Libby. So you can see the creek down there, and when I get back, I'll try to show you that creek a little bit more. I have it too high. Okay. So you can see that whole area there. Pull it down a little bit more. So the area where they might have been, the area where they found the clothes was slightly more, was on this side of the creek and in the water on this side of the creek and a little bit downstream toward us, toward the direction we are here, than the bodies were. So it'd be sort of in a line roughly like this. If we take 10 o'clock, it would have been clothes right in there, creek, bodies right up there. Up ahead, above that, going up the hill is a cemetery. I'll go see that next so we can take a look at what that looks like. But this is the area where they were abducted. You can see that this would be not easy going across, and the older a person, the harder it would be. I mean, look at those. I have seen two pictures. These are not only rotted. Let's dive in a little more so you can see not only rotted, but some of them are missing. I think there's one right down there that probably is missing. Exactly on this. But it looks to me like there might be some pieces that are missing. I saw some videos of people walking across, and clearly there were some missing at that time. Looked pretty darn scary. The prosecution has made a point of saying that the people who would cross this would be middle schoolers, high schools, kind of daredevil younger types. I don't know why they made a point of saying that. It seems then, well, maybe Richard Allen, an older guy, wouldn't do it. So why have they said that? I wondered about that, but they did sort of stress that it would be younger people who would do this. It wouldn't be older people. And we heard from some of the people who were here that day and walking in the park that some of them walked a little bit out on the bridge, but most of them didn't walk all the way across because it seemed pretty a little scary, maybe didn't want to do it. That's certainly how I feel. So I'm going to walk that down, and then I'm going to show you, maybe we can see the area of the creek that has been pointed out to me, and we'll see whether or not, just get our bearings of where things happened. You can so see down. That is clear, clear, clear. If there were fish there, you could 100% see them. There is no question about that. It's kind of green tinted, but it's very clear. All right, so we're looking, this would be upstream because the water is flowing toward us. We're seeing the creek curving around the bend there. All right, so this would have been the first jut out. Over on this side, there are a lot of logs there today. I don't know what it would have been at the time. There's water under them. On the other side, you could see. But let's try to take the 10 o'clock position. So right about in a line there, right where the creek turns there, would have been about where the clothes would have been found. Then proceed across the creek up a little ways. That would have been where the girls' bodies were found. I'll try to make that a little clearer for you so you can get your bearings. And right here you can see this is the bridge ahead, and the place where they were is over there. All of this matters for timing because the question is there wasn't a lot of time. The prosecution says there wasn't enough time for the defense. The defense says there wasn't enough time for Richard Allen to have gotten the girls from there over here across the creek undressed. He couldn't have done all that, so they would have been down that way where the end of the bridge is, forced down, walked through the woods to about right there, and then across the creek, and then up the hill, and then their bodies were found up there. And so the defense says, well, that's going to take a while, plus these bodies were staged, so he didn't have enough time to do that, and the prosecution says it was plenty of time. So seeing the actual distance, that really does make a difference. All right, well, I'm going to turn it off, and I will see you in the next video.